Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking Nerdy podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Travis.
Yes, you are, Travis. Yes, you are.
And
We should go like alphabetical order
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
every time from now on. No, because I always get confused because I sit here just like waiting.
Well, it's hard because we're not recording in the same room as each other, so you can't
Yeah,
see
we're like
who's about to
160
speak.
miles apart.
Womp.
But this week is the 20th anniversary of the Silent Hill franchise. So,
Woo!
January 31st, 1999 was the release of the first Silent Hill game.
What a good year for video games, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
for
1999.
sure,
A lot
for
of great stuff. But so we're kind of going to talk about the Silent Hill franchise as a whole. The games that we've played, or at least played bits of.
As much as our knowledge spans.
Right. We'll
True,
dabble
which is
into
not
the
extensive.
films.
And the fan fiction.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
we will shed tears over Silent Hills.
Yeah.
The Silent
I
Hill that
will.
never was.
For sure, for sure.
My sweet, sweet boy Guillermo del Toro
Right.
was spurned yet again.
Poor
All
guy.
that good stuff. But right off the bat, Silent Hill 1. The
Absolutely.
Silent Hill, the one that's celebrating the
Good old
anniversary.
PlayStation version.
Yeah,
What
PlayStation
a
1.
masterpiece of a game.
Yeah.
It really is. I love Silent Hill 1. I love Silent Hill
Me
2
too.
more. Mumble, mumble. But Silent Hill 1
We'll
is
get
better.
to that one next.
I know. So y'all go ahead.
something- Okay, Aaron, where should we start here?
I don't know. Well, so we've played the first one in its entirety.
Yes, we did.
We beat it, and
This is only a couple of years ago.
a few years ago, we actually did a first impressions. It's on the channel.
Oh my God, you're right.
Back when the
Put
camera
a
was
link
pointed
to
at
that
the
in the
TV.
description.
It's back. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little rough. It's back when we were just pointing the camera at the TV because
There's nothing wrong with that. They
PlayStation
got the
didn't have a
idea.
capture card and all that good stuff. But it was a fun experience for sure to delve into that. And then after we did that in first impressions, we continued playing over the next several weeks, months, and beat the game. I got to say right off the bat, 1999, you have a game where
Magic.
your choices dictate the ending that you get.
Yep.
That's pretty, because there's so many games nowadays that really drive home the you choose your ending, your actions
Yeah.
change the environment, that's okay. We've come to expect that, and that's fun.
For sure.
Adds to replayability.
I was gonna say, I feel like in the modern day, everyone wants replayability or really intense longevity in games that they're paying $60 for. So
Yeah.
everyone wants it to last as long as they can. They want DLC. They want multiple endings so they can go back and replay it.
Right.
And I feel like we were a little bit less demanding in the 90s, but the fact that they
for
sort of
sure.
were really revolutionizing that kind of a thing, they
Yeah.
were definitely one of the spearheads of that type of gameplay.
Oh yeah.
I really like
Well,
it.
and the thing about the first game that really makes me so attracted to it, I loved it so much, is that it's essentially a mystery. It is like a horror survival game, but
yeah.
it is kind of primarily a mystery game. There's all kinds of clues and puzzles you have to
hidden
find.
papers and notes and
Yeah. But this game didn't have a feature that most of those kinds of games nowadays have, where you kind of hold on to the notes and you hold on to these clues. Like you write them on an in-game journal.
Right.
When Aaron and myself and then Senior were playing that game, we had a physical notebook with us that we wrote down things. We're like, ooh, that might come in handy later.
Right.
And I
you
miss those days. I used to be so ham
Yeah.
about that, and that's what got me into loving lore of different video games and reading everything that games have to offer about whatever
Yeah.
backstory of the land and things like that. I think Silent Hill definitely planted that seed in
There's so
me.
much backstory.
So much.
I mean, one, the characters, yes, but just the town,
Yeah.
which changes from game to game. And I
Yeah.
think that's also kind of fun because it's it changes based on who the main character is, and
Right.
that's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's boring, in which case, man.
Which kind of it's something I never really thought about, because I feel like we kind of grew up in a time where video game technology advanced so rapidly that we didn't have a need for it. But the little booklets that used to come with games,
Oh, yeah,
every single
yeah.
time in the very back, they had that notes section for exactly
Yeah.
that purpose.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Buy the guide.
man, for the people playing the game back when it was initially released, that's awesome that they could utilize that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it was fun because it's a one-player game, obviously.
Yeah.
And we were doing the whole, pass the controller. You beat a
Yep.
chapter, pass the controller. But then, when somebody
got
else
to
is
be
playing,
the scribe.
then you got to also trade off being the scribe, which was like having a second player in that.
The silent scribe.
Yes.
The not so silent scribe.
The screaming scribe.
Shut up! The controller's not in your hand.
Yeah, screaming because they have the clues. Yeah.
Frustrated.
And it was a pretty long game too, you know.
It was. We spent,
it
I
was-
think, 4 or 5 nights playing through that game.
I mean, like, conversely, to think of, like, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, you beat it in,
Yeah.
like, 4 hours.
Half a second.
You know,
Yeah.
like, that game took hours and hours to complete, and the puzzles, like, you never got it on the first try, and they were really intricate, and you'd have to go back and find more clues or tools, or it's just, I don't know, there's just a layer of depth that was really a step beyond what the graphics allowed.
Yeah.
in a
Well,
sense, you know.
And it was the first of the franchise, so they really
Right.
had to kind of knock it out of the park if they wanted to continue making them.
Yeah.
100% true. I know a lot about the production of the first Silent Hill game. If you guys want to know some like little fun tidbits.
Sure.
Heck yeah.
I learned all of my information from the internet, and so can you. So this is just my retelling of it. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But I believe it was sort of originally sort of posed as like, we want a really Hollywood type of like horror movie type of video game. And originally the entire team was like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. But then they really hated it and really didn't enjoy making it like super cliche in Hollywood. So they tried to create a more fun sort of story to go behind it rather than just being like a slasher, which is sort of what
Yeah.
like Hollywood horror flicks
Right.
were for a very long time. It was either like a slasher or like the Terminator or something like those
Yeah.
times. And so eventually they sort of like started working on it in secret, that they just wanted to make this sort of video game based around a town, which I believe is based on the town in Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger. There are small posters and things in the background
Oh.
Oh.
that are like
Interesting.
1-to-1 with from the movie A Kindergarten Cop, because that was their American reference.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah,
boy.
right. And so that's kind of funny for me
That's
to
funny.
know that. And
That's
then
hilarious.
yeah, the production team just were putting in like all-nighters. They would sleep in the office, and it was such a small production team too. That they were putting like everything into it, and eventually they sort of made the game that they wanted and got the green light to continue working on it after sort of working on it in secret. And I
That's
thought that was
neat.
pretty fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's funny that was their original basis, because the
I need to look into this now. I'm curious.
the basis for Silent Hill has evolved, obviously, and it's much more now based on a real town
Yeah.
yeah.
in Pennsylvania, you know, that has the whole, you know, the coal mines and stuff, and the fires lit beneath the earth that never went out, that caused the ash and the fog and the, you know, residents that can't live there. You know, there's a real town or two like that. Oh, that is hilarious.
I'm
She
showing Aaron pictures of Kindergarten Cop versus the Silent Hill counterpart. It's very fun.
Wow, yeah,
boy.
it's like that's literally the modeling for the buildings.
Yeah, there's a poster of a little dog on one of the corkboards, and then there's one behind Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, so that's
But-
a fun fact.
Yeah,
A fun fact. Good
but
job, me.
now it's taken on, especially with the films, which we'll get to. But it's much more
Oh
like
my God, I'm
Pennsylvania
looking at the
Mining
pictures
Village.
Yes. And I kind of enjoy that it being based off of the Pennsylvania mining town, because it gives more.
Realism,
Yeah, it's realism, and it's like a proper abandoned, creepy town. Like that's
right?
really neat.
With fires that I
Yeah.
don't know if they're still burning, but
Coal
there were
fires.
coal fires that had burned for 50 some odd years. I'm sure there's still some places that are
Right.
burning. I wouldn't be surprised, you know. But and like you said, the town changes in every game depending on who you are.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
But I gotta say though, you know, and this is a big one. The voice acting
Oh.
for the first game is a little rough.
It's
I am looking
What-
for my
what?
daughter, Cheryl.
she's 8 years old. Have you seen her? It's like it's
Travis,
a jump
you did
start
so
for
well.
third grade.
Right.
Like,
Jumpstart. Yeah.
man.
Well,
I love it
and-
so much.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
I'm gonna name my first child Cheryl. I don't care if it's a boy or
Cheryl.
girl. and I'm going to lose this child everywhere just so I can go to every person in my vicinity and be like, have you seen my child, Cheryl?
She's 8 years old.
Also, she is a boy.
That's funny. But
I want to do that, but name my child Jason because of Heavy Rain. Just the beginning of that, it's just Jason, Jason, Jason. So at least our good boy Harry Mason said more than Cheryl. Cheryl.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the voice acting is really weird because in Silent Hill 2, it's kind of debated whether or not the voice acting was bad on purpose or if it was like just sort of following along with they didn't really have great voice acting, did they?
Right.
Yeah.
Or if
Now-
it was bad on purpose because it's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable because that's what Silent Hill 2 was all about.
Everything
and-
about Silent Hill 2 makes me uncomfortable.
And I
Yeah.
love it.
For sure.
Let's shift gears into Silent
Yeah.
Hill 2.
Yeah,
Because
well,
that's the
and-
other game that
and
we
just-
played through to completion.
Real
I
quick,
love
going
it.
with
It's the one that I
uh,
beat in Saturn Memory.
well, so we also beat number 2, but we were playing it on the PS3. There was the dual pack remaster
Yeah,
of,
the
of
HD
2 and
collection.
3. Yeah, the HD collection. Now, remember, Travis, we had a choice.
Yeah, you can have the new voice acting, right?
Exactly.
In the
Yep.
So we chose to play with the new voice acting. So we did not have
Blasphemy, but also fair.
we did not have the PlayStation 1
Yeah.
dialogue. We had the PlayStation 3 HD remake.
I feel like that's a
dialogue.
game that we should literally go back and replay just for the sake of listening to the original
Oh
dialogue.
my gosh!
Yeah,
please,
for sure.
please
I
play it.
have it. Yeah.
I
Yes.
cannot even imagine what that experience would be like.
Yeah, because it was a pretty insane. I mean, absolutely insane game. Even
Yeah.
as a direct, not even obviously it's not a direct follow up because the plot lines are entirely different. But I mean, as the next in the franchise, the first sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, they did such a good job at just making an entirely different game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
entirely, the monsters are different. The town is different. The map is different. The layout is different. But obviously it's still Silent Hill, and
Yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
so neat is you are playing a game that feels and looks nothing like the first game, and yet you still fully feel like you're in the same town, trying to escape the same fog and craziness.
Yeah. Well, and also like a
so-
really good example of like taking a successful original and then
One-upping
improving
it.
for the
Yeah.
sequel.
Yeah, for
Silent
sure.
Hill 2 is my favorite that I've played,
Yeah.
and it's like generally the internet's favorite as well.
And
Yeah.
Silent Hill 2 is so much more of a psychological game.
Oh
it
yeah.
really is.
So Silent Hill 1, there's,
Monsters.
there's there's a lot of monsters, and yeah, it's psychological, and he's trying to find his daughter, and there's cult and weird, and stuff.
It's just like
Yeah,
but
number
the
one was
Silent
way
Hill
more
1 is
cult.
eerie, but like Silent Hill 2 is trippy.
right.
Yeah.
So, playing as James Sunderland and just the other characters that you find, there's a lot more supporting characters that you find in the city also going through their own trials and tribulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I really like because then that is sort of what establishes for a lot of the rest of the games that Silent Hill kind of looks different for every person who goes there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's a small back and forth between James and Laura. There's the gal that you meet in the beginning in the cemetery, which...
Yeah.
Fun
Yeah.
fact, like, she sounds like she's about, 35 because that's the voice actress, but she's supposed to be, 15. So
Oh.
that's another fun fact, and also bad voice acting. But
I
they
was
have a
just gonna
small...
say, I don't remember her sounding so old, but
But
new
we
voice.
No,
had
she does, though.
We had
Yeah, y'all had
we
the
new
new
dialogue.
stuff. But they had, a small back and forth where he's like, oh, are you gonna be okay going out there with all those monsters? Do you like my James impression? And she's like,
Yeah.
they look like monsters to you? And
Right.
I'm like, ah!
But she never says what they look like for her.
Exactly. And then there's the little girl who sort of seems like she doesn't see anything at all.
Yeah,
She's
just
like, why are
lost,
you here? You suck. And she's
Yeah.
mean to you.
right?
And I'm like, get out of here, you little kid.
Right. So it's actually
Yeah.
interesting because that brings James and Harry very much in the same kind of realm.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're
because-
both also looking for something within Silent Hill. James
Yeah,
is looking
yeah.
for his
His
dead wife,
dead
Mary.
wife, and Harry's looking for his lost daughter, Cheryl. So yeah,
James is looking for love in all the wrong places.
yeah, literally.
Yeah.
He's trying to find his dead wife while like
meets
hanging
that
out
Poochie.
with his not wife, who was also like exactly like his
But
wife.
kind of his wife.
Yeah. She's like, tell me, James, would you like a new wife? Or something ridiculous like that.
And then again, multiple endings depending
Yes.
on your
Yes.
choice paths. And a whole new side of Silent Hill. You know, there's the original town, the old town or old Silent Hill or whatever from the first game, and then you
Yeah.
get introduced to the resort. You
Yep.
know, on the lake, and that
Yeah, it's
whole
supposed to be like
thing
a fun
is.
amusement park town, or
Yeah.
it used to be, or whatever.
Well, it was like after the coal ran out, we tried to rebrand, and it's like, I mean, we live in a town that's very much like that, you know.
Yeah.
When all the factories dried up, what
After
they
the
turned to?
sardines ran out.
Yeah, exactly. Turn to tourism. So like it makes
Right.
sense after your industry or your natural resources are gone, your town either dies or you rebrand as a tourist destination. So it totally makes sense that this creepy place at least tried.
You gotta bring money in
Yeah.
somehow, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. But, you know, and James remembers going there with his wife when it wasn't cloudy and everything. And that was,
Yeah,
I
because
think,
she's like, I'll meet you at our special place.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what's most interesting is, you know, Harry and Sybil, the police officer from the first
Yeah,
one,
they're just
they had
kinda
never been in Silent Hill. They'd never
Exactly.
heard of Silent Hill. They didn't understand. James is like returning to
Yep.
a place from his memory, and yet it's
all
at the same
wrong
time
now.
all different. And that's where it's so psychological, because it's like, to us it's familiar because we've either played the first game or we understand that we're playing a game, you know.
Yes.
But to
And
him it's
we've heard of
familiar
Silent
because
Hill.
he's like, I've been here, but he's literally like looking at his wife's memories through this haze of time and death, and
Yeah.
it's like he's literally living
Ghosts.
out that ghosts.
I guess.
He's literally living that out, and so that's pretty cool. And then that one had another crazy ending, of course.
Yeah. One thing that kind of like helped decide the ending for Silent Hill 2 is how often you pull up Mary's photo and look at it.
Oh wow!
And I think that's like crazy, like intense for like a PS1, PS2 game.
right. So like how focused you were on your
Yeah,
wife,
how
and
often
how
you would look at
not
Mary.
distracted by the other woman and the other people.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that's real neat
That is real neat.
for a game of its time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
well-
and I think that's also kind of a good example of like the rating system of games, because those games are rated M for mature, correct?
As far
Oh,
as
yeah.
I
Even
the
remember,
old
yeah,
one.
they,
They
should
had to
be.
have been. Yeah.
And it's like that's a good example of like video games that are made not for children, because there's so much about, I mean, both the first and the second game really that just are so beyond a child's understanding, you know, intellectually, emotionally, whatever you want to call it.
Right. So you know, gore and graphics aside, just even like the eye
Yeah.
through which you look at what's happening
Yeah,
is meant
well-
for a more mature mind.
Yeah.
Or more experienced mind.
I
Who can
think
relate
I
to
think
the
that's
emotions
really
of
cool.
the characters. And,
You know, because like video games so often back then were marketed towards kids, but the fact that this
sure.
game, whether it was marketed for adults or not, it was clearly made for people with a more like, with a greater depth of understanding.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
And I guess just to keep it moving along,
Silent Hill 3.
Silent Hill
Hill
3.
Oh man,
oh,
what happened
man.
there?
Heather!
Heather.
They're like 90s and 2000s kids like going to the mall, right? What if
What
the
if?
whole game?
The mall was silent.
Right?
Oh man,
What if we have
Like,
this game where you never actually leave Portland?
I'm curious.
Right.
What year did Silent Hill 3 come out? And then what year did Mallrats come out?
I'm Googling it right now.
So am
Fill
I.
air, fill air.
Okay, well, so
You'll probably get
Tell
it
us,
before me,
Aaron, you
Travis.
played it a lot.
I did play a lot of 3. I did not finish it, but I made it further than probably than I would have if I wasn't so dedicated to the franchise to begin with.
Mallrats came
Yeah.
out in 1995.
Yeah, Silent
Okay,
Hill 3 is
so-
2003.
Yeah.
Well,
But
what about Mallrats
there-
2?
Oh, let's look it up.
the character Heather is technically kind of Cheryl, but not.
Yeah.
It's like you know, at the end of the game of the first game, Harry Mason is handed a baby
Yes.
and is like,
yeah.
"This is not Cheryl, but this is now your child."
The sacrifice is sufficient.
Right. That child was
This
Heather.
will do.
Here you go, Sean Bean.
Right. Right. But Heather has no idea, and then of course, so she grows up, she's this teenager, and Harry Mason is murdered.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And
Sean
so
Bean.
she does what all normal kids do when their father's murdered. She gets on the subway and goes to the mall.
Robin Sparkles must have been on the radio that day.
Let's
And-
go to the mall.
So it's one of those things where the cult in Silent Hill is doing their own thing, and then
Yeah.
the whole multiverse phasing aspect is drawn to her. So it's like she doesn't have to physically be in Silent Hill for Silent Hill to come to her.
You know what? We totally
and-
forgot about something.
Oh, what'd we forget?
This game has a back and forth. It opens up in Silent Hill.
Oh, that is right.
She's
That's
having like a nightmare
Yeah.
of the carousel.
Of the carousel.
Yeah.
So
Which the movie reflects. The second movie
Yes.
reflects that.
right.
In the
So
beginning.
Silent Hill, the second Revelations, the second movie is taking from the plot of the
Silent Hill
third
3.
game. Yeah.
I feel like the
Yeah.
filmmakers were like, we don't want to touch Silent Hill 2. We'll skip that
Well,
one.
because-
and also, it doesn't matter at all.
Because they wanted
the
to bring
sequels.
they wanted to bring back the actors that they had already had in the first one.
Yeah.
Sean Bean.
Yeah,
Bean
and
is back,
Silent Hill 3 was the proper sequel to Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 2
Right.
has nothing to do with Silent
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if proper is the word I would use.
Hill. Oh, well.
But character wise, and so the films were reflecting on that.
Oh, guffaw.
And so then
Sorry.
Silent Hill Revelations
sorry, Aaron.
introduces, brings back the old characters, but introduces
Yeah.
new characters like young Kit Harington. And
Trying to do an American accent, which he's so bad at.
but
Yeah, but you know that the
But
HBO
he's so
producers
pretty.
saw that and they're like, the two of them together, we want them.
Forever.
right,
Yeah, right.
but
And Game of Thrones was born.
right.
Ba-ba-ba-da-ba.
Thank you, Silent Hill Revelations.
Right.
But so the third game, it
It takes
that's
place
right.
mostly in a mall. There's like that detective guy who follows you for a little while.
Right.
And he's
Yeah,
like, I
and
want to
it's,
ask
like,
you some
really
questions.
creepy.
And she's like, whatever, old man.
Right.
F the cops.
She's like strangely angsty. She's like Japanese perception of American teen angst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I found her like less relatable because when she sees like really gross things right in front of her, she's like, weird. And things like
Yeah.
that. And I'm like, girl, there's a wall of flesh in front of you. You could be a little bit more weirded out.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
Especially since she doesn't know her origins,
like,
and,
wow.
and Harry Mason never told her anything about Cheryl
Mm-hmm.
or Silent Hill. So like she should be more than any other character in any game. She should be the one freaking out.
right.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and she's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a little lackluster. The mall got super repetitive.
It got really boring.
More than anything.
Which is why I
Silent-
didn't finish that game.
Yeah, I never.
The
I
mall
never
was
finished it
hard
either.
to navigate,
Oh, man.
super repetitive, and there
Yeah.
was just way too many monsters.
So many monsters, the big ones, the big like
Yeah.
double leg ones.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Like,
though
and kind
I,
of. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was gonna say, I gotta say, I did love the whole theme park bit though. That was a really,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
That was
great
fun, yes.
level.
That was cool.
So those pieces were really well done. But again, they took place in Silent Hill, so it's like
Yeah.
even though it was in her mind theoretically, she was like it was like partially in
She was
her mind
harkening back.
and like partial like actually being there. Again, that's
Yeah.
the whole phasing in and out of reality thing. But
Well, real quick, just to kind of tie it back to Silent Hill 1.
yeah,
The biggest disappointment and like the reason I really didn't enjoy Silent Hill 3, I couldn't get through it with you, is because and this also ties into the repetitiveness of the monsters that are there. Silent Hill 1, especially being such an older game, really kind of set that tone using like sound effects. You know, a lot of the sound design of that game is just very suspense building and very eerie.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it fills you with that dread that something could be around the corner at
Right.
any given time.
Yeah,
especially with the
there's-
fog.
There are a couple
Yeah,
moments
yeah.
in the first two Silent Hill games where you hear like like a distant crying or something, and it
Yeah.
just leads to nothing. You think,
Yeah.
oh, there's gonna be a
Exactly.
jump scare, but no, and that almost makes it scarier, and I loved that.
But
because
Silent
it's like,
Hill
Absolutely.
3, you're inside,
immersive.
there's no
It's-
fog, and you can see everything. There's so many monsters.
Yeah.
They're
Everything's so
right
crisp.
there.
Well, and that's the
you
thing,
can
is
see them from a
count on
mile
every
away.
sound that you
Yeah.
hear being a monster that's
Yeah.
literally around the corner.
Yep.
it's related
You know?
to something, and probably something you've already encountered. So you're
Exactly.
like, ugh.
And then you walk around the corner, and there is exactly what you expected to see.
Yeah,
Right.
Silent Hill 3 just kind of felt like a chore.
It was really
Yeah.
lackluster.
Yeah.
And also, I'm just not one for the whole occult side of Silent Hill. I know that's what the movies were really based on, and what
Yeah.
1 and 3 are all about. But I'm like way
Uh-huh.
more about the psychological effect of Silent Hill on different people, rather
Yeah.
than like
yeah.
we must burn the baby or whatever.
Now,
I'm
the-
like-
lesbian.
Right? I'm like, get out of here. That's way less interesting. There's
And-
enough
Yeah.
stuff with weird cult things in it. I want something new.
and the first movie focuses on that way heavier than
Really
the first
heavy.
Oh yeah.
game
It's like
ever
the more
did,
you
anyway.
explain, the less I'm enjoying myself.
Right.
Right.
So,
Which is
the-
my thing with a lot of movies. When it over-explains itself, I get bored
Yeah.
with it. But if it lets
Yeah.
you sort of figure things out or come to your own conclusions, I'm way into that. For
So
horror.
like
Yeah.
you know, the first game, like yeah, the cult was there. Yeah, it was technically the primary like plot device, but it still just felt like a father looking for his daughter, and this weird shit's going down.
Yeah.
Whereas the movie was very much like, it's a cult.
do you get
There's
it?
the darkness. Here's Pyramid Head, who wasn't even in the first game, but we're going to put him in the movie because that's what everyone wants to see.
Because he's the most iconic character for the series, even though he's only really supposed to be in Silent Hill
He's in
2.
the second game
Yeah,
for like
but he's
5
got
minutes.
those
Because he's-
abs.
Right?
and that
and the
big
sword.
sword.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, he's really
hella
iconic,
swole.
but he's supposed to be specifically for James.
Right.
Yeah.
James sees him because he's guilty.
Yeah.
And like,
He's the
that's it.
manifestation of James's
But-
guilt.
Like my favorite part of the second movie was like the part there's I think towards the end scene with where she's at the actual amusement park.
Uh-huh.
And he's like
he's just cranking
pulling the
it.
crank.
He's
Yeah.
cranking the carousel, and I'm like, is this your day job? You're Carney?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That was weird for me. I was like, what are you doing here, buddy?
They had
You
to put it in the
lost.
film.
So
Of
kind
course
of
they have
because
to
that
for the
game,
trailers.
Yeah.
because that game kind of ties into the second movie, like I will say that I watched the first 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes of that sequel, and I did not like it. I turned it off.
I
Which
saw
should
it
have been
in
an
theaters.
indicator when I eventually played the game or tried to play the game. Like, couldn't
That
make
it
through
wasn't
the
going to
game.
be great. Yeah.
Couldn't make it through the movie.
But
Just
see, like, if you look up the first Silent, I guess we can sort of transition for a moment to the Silent Hill movies since we talked about the games 1 through 3.
yeah.
But the first movie, oh goodness, I don't know. I had sort of similar problems with it. Of like, God, I immediately lost my train of thought. What happened to me? Phil Ayer, someone. What were you saying, Travis? I'm so sorry.
I was just saying, like, because the sequel was kind of based off of the third game, I couldn't get into it the same as I couldn't get into the game.
That's
It
fair.
just, it did not grab my attention. It didn't have that like spooky mysticism about it that the first Silent Hill did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like the first Silent Hill movie by no means is perfect, but I was
no,
entertained.
no.
That's what
you
I was
know?
gonna
Oh,
say.
it is definitely
I was
entertaining.
remembering, like, I think still today it's like 33% or something on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree that the dialogue and voice acting and stuff for that was not great. A lot of moments were really weird and forced, but the visual design of that movie is mwah, beautiful.
Right.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
Well,
took weird real dancers and put them in crazy costumes where they couldn't
Yeah,
see or
yeah.
hear, and they writhed around the set, and it was gorgeous. And I loved
Yeah.
it.
It was made for people who had played the game.
Yeah. It
For sure.
really
Hands
embodied
down.
Silent Hill in
Yeah.
the visual aspect at the very least. And also, there was a small moment in the beginning where it sort of mirrors the beginning of the game when
Yep.
you're first in the middle.
Uh-huh.
Silent Hill, the like siren goes off and you go down this alley and it's all weird.
Yeah.
That's mirrored
Yeah.
perfectly in
I
the first
loved
movie.
it.
It was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Even
so I
that,
really
like,
love a lot
weird
of the
camera
visual
angle.
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. The weird
yes.
above.
Yes,
That reminds
because
me
that-
again when we played the first Silent Hill that first time through. The camera angles are
So
so
rough.
like
You fight the
crafty
camera.
and
Yeah.
beautiful. Oh no, not even rough. There's that shot when you go in the alleyway where it's like a
Well,
reverse downwards Dutch angle that transitions with you, and I was just like,
It's very
"What is
cinematic.
this?"
They're
but it's hard for
beautiful.
games.
They're rough when you're in combat and
True.
you're trying to navigate.
Oh yes,
But
absolutely.
That's what I
also-
meant, but they look great.
True.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's also a
to
thing,
have
though,
the
like,
movie mirror that was awesome.
you're not supposed to
Yeah.
be, like, diving headlong into combat with Silent Hill anyway, though, because
No,
you're supposed to be
for
afraid of
sure.
the monsters and running away from them, and I feel like
Exactly.
that's why the camera gets so rough on that. But you're right, it's super
Yeah.
cinematic, and I love that about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my tangent on the Silent Hill 1 movie. Anyone else have any thoughts about our good boy Sean Bean?
Who's in Silent Hill but not.
Yeah.
He's just literally wandering through the empty town like, where is everybody?
Like, this is weird.
Right?
Cheryl.
And then I also, in the Silent Hill 1, the movie, there's the gal who plays, like, the mother of the version of Cheryl or whatever that's from Silent Hill. And she's the same lady who plays a creepy lady in the movie The Mist by Stephen King.
Oh.
So I am convinced that she's the same person in both movies, and that's my
She's-
headcanon, and it's a part of the fucking Silent Hill lore that The Mist
Oh,
is
yeah,
a part
isn't
of
that,
Silent Hill.
You know, she's also the vampire's mom from The Little Vampire.
She is? I haven't watched that
sure
movie in
is.
so long.
She sure is. She's
That has the little
Rudolph's
kid with the
mother.
glasses and the little...
Jonathan Lipnicki.
Yeah, and then that ghost girl who's like, I'll teach you how to whistle. That's all I remember
Yeah.
about that movie.
And then she grows up to be Susan in The Chronicles of Narnia.
Okay.
You see, it all comes full circle in Silent Hill.
Yeah.
But yeah, that character is
Aslan.
she's in the movie, but she's also
Liam
from the
Neeson.
first game.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh, I can't
Liam
remember.
Neeson should have played Harry Mason.
Oh
Damn.
yeah, he would have been a good one.
I
Yeah.
will find you, and I will kill you, Pyramid Head.
You know, we could always have a reboot.
He's
Yes.
unkillable. Nice try, Liam Neeson.
All right, well, moving on. Number
Yeah.
3 is the furthest that I ever played, but both of you
Okay.
have a little bit more experience beyond that with some of the later games.
Yeah. So
Just a
after
bit.
3, there is Silent Hill 4: The Room, which I
Yes.
have not played, but I have heard really good things about that game.
I have played the beginning of it, like the first hour. Not even. No, like the first 2 hours of that game I played. It's really interesting, and I do want to play more of it. I just have not, for reasons unknown.
The next
yeah.
time I visit, we should do that.
Do
Yes,
you have
please.
it?
I'll
Nah, but
buy
we'll
it.
get it.
Okay, I mean, yeah, we could find it.
But yeah, from what I remember, it's you have these crazy nightmares, and you wake up and you sort of live in this. I can't tell if it's a hotel room or like a one-room apartment, essentially.
Yeah.
Where you have your kitchen and your living room, and then your bedroom and your bathroom, and that's it. And you wake up, you're like, wow, what a crazy dream. And you look around your apartment for a little bit, and then you look at the front door, and it's like chained and bolted up from the inside. And you're like, wow, I guess you can't go outside, oops.
No big
And
deal.
then you find a
wake
big big hole in your laundry room, and you're like, better crawl down that. But you can also look out the
Naturally.
people, so you can see you have like a neighbor in either this hotel or apartment complex. I'm not sure. You can look out your window. There's like billboards and things. You have a
Billboard
phone.
Baggins.
Yeah, Billboard Baggins. He's outside your window, so you can look around at like the world, but you can't really interact with it. And you go through this weird chute in your laundry room, and it's sort of played off kind of as, oh, maybe you're going to a different dimension, or maybe you're having another nightmare. Who knows? And then you like get into some weird stuff, meet people, see monsters, and then you wake up in your hotel room again, or apartment room. I don't know. As I reiterate over and over. But that's essentially all I got to play. Is I saw some people in the real world, and I saw some people in the creepy world, and I fought a couple of monsters. And you're mostly in like a weird subway type of station when you crawl down the hole. And then you get knocked unconscious, you wake up back in your room. And that's what I know about Silent Hill: The Room. It was real spooky, and I'd like to play more, but
Okay.
that's all I know of
That's
it.
cool. And that's technically the 4th installment.
Technically, I believe.
Okay. And then Travis, you have sampled
I've sampled
Homecoming.
Silent Hill Origins.
Origins.
It was
I've sampled
Origins.
Homecoming.
Okay. So
Yeah, which I think Origins was the one that came out after Silent Hill 4. It
Think
came out
so.
on the PS2.
Yeah, Homecoming is more recent generations. So.
right.
Yeah, and like the way that I remember it beginning, like you kind of jogged my memory because we talked a little bit about it before.
Yeah.
You play as that truck driver, Travis something or other.
Grady or something,
Yeah.
like Gardy. or
And it's
something
like
that.
you're
Who's-
driving down
there's
the road
Grady from
and
some
it's
other media that's bothering me. I don't know where I know the name Grady. Anyway,
I don't know, that sounds
continue.
familiar
I'll
to me,
ponder.
too.
yeah, so you come across this burning house and you run inside and you like try and save this little girl, and like I only vaguely remember that, and then I kind of you like continue down the road or something, and then you're in Silent Hill.
Huh,
And
okay.
like I played through the game probably only for a couple hours because I think I had rented it from Hollywood Video because that used
Good
to be a
stuff.
thing.
Yeah, that came out when, like 2010.
2000, 2007 or 2008, I think.
Okay, okay.
Because I think Homecoming was 2009.
Homecoming was 20. Yeah, okay, yeah.
But then you go when you're in Silent Hill. The thing I vividly remember is being in this asylum, and there are like shadows that you can only fight if you flash a flashlight on them because they like appear on the wall. It's like straitjackets floating around, so you have to kind of
that's
cast a
cool.
shadow to fight them,
Yeah.
Oh.
or like a cage or something. I don't know. It was
That's fun,
really
though.
weird,
Just
and
more
really
unique enemies,
freaky. Yeah, and like I don't know why I stopped playing because I remember really liking it. Probably just because it's like the 3 days or whatever.
You had to give
the
it
rental
back.
period was up.
And renting games was expensive.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
The time
But it was
passed.
interesting. I remember enjoying it while I played it back then, and I will say that very vague and foggy memory I enjoyed more than Silent Hill 3. So if that's any inclination
Right?
of how the rest
I,
of the game was going to carry out,
right? I really want to beat Silent Hill 3 just to say that I won, and then I want to like play the more recent installments just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
is
Just
it
'cause I love
really
Silent
winning
Hill.
if the bad game makes you play it?
Who's really winning?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, yeah. So then,
That's
so
interesting.
that was Truck Driver with Origins. Which why was it called Origins?
I honestly have no idea. I think it was supposed to be a prequel to even the first one.
So it was set. It's in Origins in time, meaning that Travis was visiting Silent Hill pre Harry Mason.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I would
don't
say
know.
so.
Or they were just like, that's a catchy title that Americans use in their movies and games.
Yeah.
I mean, not so much back in those days.
That's
Nowadays,
true,
much more
honestly.
so.
Yeah. Yeah. But okay, and then Homecoming with the soldier.
Homecoming, yeah, that's a soldier returning home. I want to say that his home is Silent Hill, but I can't say that for sure because I also
mean, there
only
wa-
have vague, foggy memories like Travis has of Origin.
There was
But part
those
of me
like
is like,
four
I kinda-
normal people that
Zendaya.
just happened to live in Silent Hill, so he
Yeah.
could have been one of those.
I believe he's trying to go back to like find his like kid brother from what I remember. Like
Oh.
get flashes of a kid brother or something. But
Okay.
it's spooky.
Because again, it's like Silent Hill is his manifestation of like
yeah,
whatever he's dealing with.
Yeah, I
coming
want to
home
say there's
PTSD.
probably some sort of like
Yeah.
a strange guilt around something that happened with his family and with his brother,
Survivor's
Yeah.
guilt or anything. Yeah.
something like that. There's probably got to be all those motifs in it, or at least they were trying to put all those motifs in it.
Yeah, that's what
But
most,
I played
most of the
it for
games
like
revolve around.
less
guilt.
time than I played The Room, so.
Okay.
It wasn't his younger brother. It was a child he killed in the war the whole time.
Oh!
Oh. Guess we'd have to
Let's
play
write
and find
Silent
out. Right, that's right. Speaking of writing Silent Hill.
Oh.
Can I
Time
not
to,
get to talk about Shattered Memories?
Oh,
Excuse me?
yep. Sorry. I forgot you had one more.
Let us not forget the Wii.
Please,
Yes.
let's not forget the motion, the motion-controlled Silent Hill game.
Oh my.
Which
Yeah.
is a reimagining of the first game. It's not
So I
the
won- I
same
wonder
game. It's a
why.
quote-unquote reimagining based on every
Okay.
single interview you read about it.
I wonder why
Because
they
you
did
still
that.
play
about
it-
Cheryl.
Yeah, you still play as Harry. You still
okay.
meet Sybil, but it's like a strange new mechanic of there's this back and forth between you in first person talking to a therapist. So it's a little ham-fisted on that. We're psychological.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You're there and you're talking to the therapist, you're answering the therapist, and the therapist
So
has
it's-
you do these little, like, sort of like mini game type things. Like there's one
So it's
you're, he's
Until
like,
Dawn.
yeah, essentially, it's like Until Dawn,
Yeah.
but Silent Hill motifs and also strange
Also the Wii.
Yeah.
Wii motions, which is not nearly as good as the motion control for Until Dawn, which is like just the hold still mechanic.
Right.
For
Yeah.
Silent Hill, it's like you better unlock this door real quick. And it's like, ah, and it's like shaking on the screen. And that's as close to like a proper puzzle as you get, is like unlocking doors with the Wiimote controls.
That's funny.
Yeah.
There's not like good puzzles like there were in 1 and 2, things like that. But yeah, you play first as like this person in the first person talking to your therapist. He hands you like a little coloring sheet and he's like, doodle on it. And then he's like, here's a questionnaire, answer it as truthfully as you can. Again, like until done.
Right.
And then you go and you're Harry and you're wandering around Silent Hill. But there's these moments where suddenly it seems like the town freezes over, including people that maybe you were talking to.
Oh.
And suddenly the monster's after you and you gotta run.
God.
So you're running away from the monsters and trying to find the correct path to get through to get to the next level, essentially. Which is so far removed from Silent Hill, but still has so
Yeah.
many of the same themes that I really enjoyed it.
It's weird. So you think they were just trying to monopolize on like the modern action games?
Yeah, I think so.
And that,
it wanted
and then
it to
the
still be
shattered,
fast-paced.
Shattered Memories is literally because Harry Mason is just looking back on his experience.
You're not Harry Mason when you're talking to the therapist.
Oh shit! Okay.
Spoilers. Do you guys want to know the spoilers?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if you guys are gonna play Shattered Memories, so spoiler
yeah.
alert. But you're Cheryl.
Oh.
You're talking to the therapist because
Interesting.
your dad like went to Silent Hill and never came back, but you were there all along, and you're like, why did my dad leave me?
So what the fuck was he looking for?
Oh my.
He didn't
That's
go
as
looking
much
for
as I can
her?
remember. I think he
Oh,
does go
man.
looking for her, but she.
Was there the whole time? But
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like
Silent
her
Hill can trick
talking-
people, so.
That's at least the ending I got. That one also has multiple endings based on what you do, but that one specifically, like, you can go into this shop or the other shop, but if you go into this shop, the other shop closes and you're on a new path. Or if you look at this thing for too long, like if you look at this sexy photo and the weird mechanics
Oh,
for too
God.
long, it's like, oh, you're a pervert. And then they change your ending based on that. Things
Wow.
like that. So it's like a stranger version of the number 2 where you look
Yeah,
at your
yeah,
photo of your wife a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it's like way more strangely put into the game.
I gotta say, I want
And
to.
yeah, you're Cheryl and you're like upset about, I don't know, I think your dad's dead or he went missing and left you and you're working through your stuff about abandonment or something like that.
So in
Yeah.
that universe,
So
Heather never
yeah,
existed.
it's a reimagining
Yeah.
because
I
you're
get-
playing as the daughter.
I gotta say, I want to play all the other ones, but I don't really have interest in this one just because I'm
That's
not.
fair.
I'm not big on games that rewrite canon.
Yeah.
I mean, reimagining or not, like I get it's not a full like the other one didn't happen. This is the new origins or whatever. I know that's
Yeah.
not what it is, but still, I'm just not big on like retelling a story that I've already played and enjoyed.
Yeah.
For sure.
I
Like
definitely
in my
still-
mind, Silent Hill 1 is Harry Mason and Cheryl's story. Moving on to the other
Yeah,
stories.
I would still definitely recommend Silent Hill 1 over Shattered Memories any day.
Yeah.
But it was still, like, kind of fun to play, and it's really, you can beat it in, like, a few hours. It's fine.
It's shorter. Well, most
Yeah.
Wii games were, yeah.
So, say lovey.
Well, that's cool.
Lavi.
So what
Thank
was
you.
what was the last game to come out? There had to have been a game that came out around the time of the second film. There had to have been something they were playing on. You know, Silent Hill
There-
Revelations was 2012. So what game came out around then?
I don't have the list of games in front of me. The last ones
Yeah, give me
that
just
I
a
remembered were Origins and Homecoming, but there was the Silent Hill Pachinko Machine,
Oh,
Yeah, there
my
was.
God.
Yeah.
which is like, here you go. You don't get Silent Hills, you get a Pachinko Machine.
Silent Hill Downpour, March
Downpour.
2012.
Is that the
and
one
then
with-
Book of Memories.
Downpour's
came
the
out
one
on
with the
PS Vita.
spooky wheelchair. I was
Oh,
trying to
okay.
remember if it was Origins that had the spooky wheelchair, or if it's Downpour. I think it's Downpour.
Book of Memories. Book of Memories came after. So there was like 10 games.
Jesus.
Book of Memories came out the same year, but it came out on PS Vita because that used to be a
Oh.
thing
So
as
it
well.
was a handheld. Okay, so the
so it was
last.
trash if it was on the Vita.
So it was trash.
Sorry, but
it
the
doesn't
Vita
count.
got all the trash games.
So the last
Yeah.
like console full game in the Silent Hill franchise was Downpour in 2012.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
sure,
IGN gave it a 4.5 out of 10.
Downpour?
beautiful,
Uh,
Wow.
Yeah.
fair.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know. I don't have anything to say about Downpour. I don't know anything about it, and it was the
I
I
most
know
recent
nothing
one.
about it. The cover, the dude has a axe.
Okay.
And
Sure.
that's all that I see. He's got a big
Alright.
old fire axe. So
Huh.
Hmm.
he has a
Now
weapon.
we almost had another game.
We almost
Yes,
did.
We almost
And
did.
if you were lucky, you got to play the demo.
Right?
The trailer.
PT,
trailer-
the playable
teaser.
trailer,
Yeah.
which was
Playable
cool.
trailer.
And now, and I gotta say, as great as PT was, and as fun, and like how much of a craze it became because of spoilers, the game gets canceled.
Yeah.
It became
What?
such a
Anyway, continue.
it became such a big deal, and it was really cool, and it was definitely like great horror survival. But I wouldn't call it Silent Hill.
Well, I mean, it was only a trailer.
Yeah.
We have no idea what the actual gameplay was going to be like.
I was
No,
gonna say,
I know,
nothing
I know.
about it said Silent Hill to me. It said spooky ghost game.
Right.
But
So
Yeah.
now I know the playable trailer was supposed to be, an advertisement for the upcoming Silent Hills starring
Yeah.
Norman Reedus.
or as I call him, the guy from The Walking Dead.
Yep, that guy. And
But the Boondock Saints, let us not
yeah,
forget.
Boondock
The
Saints.
guy with the scraggly hair.
Yes.
And of course, you only see him at the very end, and then he's like walking right down the main street of Old Silent Hill, and you're like,
yeah.
So I really feel like, the whole playable trailer thing was just meant to get you hyped, and it was going to have nothing to do with the game, and with
Oh,
the
yeah,
cancel
100% was true.
and with the cancellation
That's
of the game,
how,
we know nothing about the plot line.
That's just how
Yeah.
what's his face Hideo Kojima makes games. Is he gets people hyped
Confuses
for them
you.
in strange ways,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which we know from his recent ventures.
Yeah.
But he
Death
makes
Stranding.
really cool conceptual games,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm all about, and I thought would be great for Silent Hill. And I was really excited because it had him, it had Guillermo del Toro, my good boy, and guy with scraggly hair from The Walking Dead, and it seemed like a cool game.
And then now,
And that seemed like the way that Hideo Kojima would try to be
Well-
I'm making a Silent Hill game. Let me slide this note across the table.
right? And with the cancellation of the game, with the breakup of the crew and the cancellation
There's
of
the
the game,
firing of Kojima. They
right?
fired him.
But then you get Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro
Mm-hmm.
and whatever the hell Death Stranding is.
Yeah, whatever.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads
Mads
Mikkelsen, my other good
Let us
boy.
not forget.
So
Caecilius.
from
My
the
sweet Hannibal.
from the ashes from the ashes of Silent Hills, that little oil baby was born.
Yeah, who gives the little thumbs up.
And we are yet to find out exactly what that is. Obviously,
Well,
Why did
not
Norman
a,
Reedus
You guys know
swallow
what
baby?
happened with Silent Hills, correct?
yeah.
What, that Kojima was fired is what I know.
No,
And then they didn't
I'm talking
wanna make
about
any-
with the what progress they had made with playable trailer and with the Silent Hills game. They took all of that and it got turned into a VR Paranormal Activity game.
Really?
Oh, that I did not know.
I didn't know that.
So what,
What
they
a weird
they just took the
remake.
foundation and reskinned it to be Paranormal Activity?
Exactly.
Gross.
Huh. That's a
Aaron, I don't
waste.
know if you remember, but Mark he was in that video IGN did where they react to VR spooky game, and that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it
yeah.
was.
Oh, I thought they were just
They
playing
were playing
something
the Paranormal Activity game,
interesting.
which is
I mean-
literally the exact same as the playable trailer.
right.
Plus
Fair.
some.
Well, so
that also
obviously,
spawned a lot of different games, sort of using that same
Yeah.
engine and that motif.
Yeah.
I was telling Aaron about a couple of my favorites, so it created this big wave of games really similar to playable
Yeah.
trailer.
Well,
Yeah.
and somebody
just 'cause
just
everyone missed
rebuilt
Silent Hills.
playable trailer from the ground up on
we
PC.
were
Yeah.
we were talking about that. Someone just rebuilt it, which is pretty
Rad.
cool.
Oh my god, devoted fan.
But
Yeah,
now
With a lot of time.
we have to think, with the. I mean, there is no Silent Hill. Just sticking with Silent Hill, we can talk video games all day, of course.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
there's no Silent Hill for current gen, and current gen is on its way out.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
not
We're
been
in the
any,
final years.
There's really not been any talk about a new Silent Hill game since they did fire Kojima. Because I've
That's
been
gonna be
like,
such a touchy
And-
subject.
I've been chomping
I
at the
know.
bits for a long time ever since, I don't know, I was grumbling on Twitter about Silent Hills being canceled, and then I saw through Kojima's Twitter that he was hanging out with Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro, and I was like,
Right.
there's hope.
Right.
So I've
Yeah.
been
Well-
waiting for games. I've been waiting for Death Stranding, and I've also been waiting to see if there will be another Silent Hill. And
Yeah.
there's just been nothing.
And there haven't even been,
been nothing.
remasters of the PS3 games to the
No.
PS4.
It's like they've given up on it, but it's like, that's
So,
lame.
we've been talking for a good while here. We're probably
Yeah.
pushing our time limit. So
talk forever.
I want to pose this final question to each of you,
Oh.
and I'll give an answer as well. Just to wrap it up, do you think the Silent Hill franchise is dead?
Absolutely not.
Not my heart.
No.
I just mean in
I'll
all
tell you what I-
practicality.
I'll tell you what I
and
think is gonna
legality
happen.
and
like,
rights
Sam,
and-
tell us what you think.
No, you can go first, because
Okay.
then I'll babble for a moment.
Well, I was just gonna say what I think is going to happen is Death Stranding is gonna come out, and I think that there might be a little bit of closure, a little bit of dust settling on Playable Trailer and Silent Hills and all that jazz, and then I think a new studio is probably gonna come in and try and revitalize the franchise. It might die shortly after that, depending on the success or failure of it.
They're gonna
But
have to
I think
secure the
somebody
rights.
it's gonna it's gonna fall into somebody new's hands. I think
Fair.
that is my belief.
All right. My thoughts are, it's been dead for a while. And I don't want to say that because I love the series so much, but the last few games, most of the fan base all agree they don't like it. Most critics don't like most of the like when the last 4 or 5 games have not been anybody's favorite game,
Yeah.
you lose a lot of hope, which they don't want to put that into somebody important's hands anymore because they think that person can have their time better spent on other games that are more cool and hip with the times. You can tell how hip with the times I am by the way I say these things. But
Yeah.
I just don't think that they have a lot of faith in the series as much anymore as a game series. And they're not putting a lot of stock in it, which they should because there's still this massive fan base for the Silent Hill games. And I think that, Kojima was a really good shot at getting another good Silent Hill game. And I would have really trusted him with that because he makes such games along those lines. It really depends on who the Silent Hill franchise gets passed down to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if they sort of... It's just a job to them to make another Silent Hill game, because that's what I think that, Downpour and Homecoming and things like that, those were just kind of we gotta make another Silent Hill game. Let's make something kind of like the last ones. So I feel like it's been kind of dead, but that it can be given life again through magical means, but it takes a magical person. I don't know if they have enough magical people
Yeah.
willing to work on this IP.
That's
You know, I will say in general, it feels kind of like the horror survival scene is taking a back seat these days.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is lame.
Yeah. Like
I want
Resident
more.
Until
Evil-
Dawn was a nice little blip on the radar, but
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
really progressed beyond that.
And I heard a lot of good things about Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I actually didn't hear a single bad thing about it.
Oh, that's good.
But it didn't have the hype of the previous games.
It didn't have the hype of the previous games.
Even
Well, it's
the
because
even
you
the
had
previous games
like-
that were worse had more hype.
Well, yeah,
like
that's
5.
because
Five was
like
awful.
Resident Evil 4 was so good
Yes.
that Resident Evil 5, there was a lot riding on it. Everyone was super pumped for it. That game came out and it's like, this isn't even scary, it's just action. And then Resident Evil 6 came about and it looked like it was
alright.
going to kind of get back into scary stuff.
It wasn't
That's the
scary
one with
though.
co-op, right?
Yeah.
Six?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
number 5 started co-op, and number 6 is you can choose to play as all kinds of different characters in
Which
it.
was cool.
Yeah, which is interesting, and I think it adds to the replayability. And if you're a fan of the franchise, I'm sure the game was all right, but again, not scary.
Not
You know,
scary.
it was
You and I had
very,
fun
very
the little bit that we
action-based.
played together, but not
Yeah,
scary
yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Not even puzzle based either, just action.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely something that was missing. And so Resident Evil 2 remake is coming out
Yeah.
at the end of this month, actually, I think.
It's gonna be good.
And we'll see how that is.
ideally.
Yeah, that might kind of revitalize interest in
I think it
horror
will.
survival if it's any good.
Okay, so real quick to wrap it up, my thoughts on the.
Yes.
Is it dead?
I think the movie franchise is dead. I don't think any studio
Movie
is
franchise
going
is
to
so
touch
dead.
a film, even
For a
if
long
there is
time.
a successful game. I think that the release of Death Stranding is going to re-peak interest in that genre of psychological, twisted, dimensional.
thrillers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think we would see a game until next gen.
Fair.
I
I also think so.
I don't see someone negotiating the rights, assembling a team, and creating a game for the PS4.
Oh, I just remembered. What about those games Evil Within? There was a new one of those that came out this last year. And those
That's true.
were said to be kind
There
of
was a
similar.
sequel. Yeah.
to Silent Hill. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah,
I
so
forgot
there's,
all about
there,
Evil
there's
Within.
little little
Oh.
specks of the genre that kind of keep the interest, but and they're
Yeah.
good games and they're popular games, but they're not wide spread on their popularity because
Yeah.
they're niche, they're genre based. And
Yeah.
so as
feel
long
like-
as there's enough people that can kind of hop from one game to the next, keeping the interest in the genre alive, but not flooding the field with that genre, then someone is going to say, let's go back to Silent Hill, which is kind of throwing back to, early origins of this type of a game.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think that's fair.
So next gen, that's my prediction. Next gen, someone will pull their shit together and make one.
Maybe.
Whether it'll be good or not, Lord
Who
knows.
knows?
But
Yeah, that
I-
remains to be seen.
But I think next gen is going to be our hope, and no movies.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think that's
Oh.
fair.
Small thing that I wanted to also think, Universal Studios has their horror haunts, and Silent Hill is
Yep.
one of their main things.
Yeah,
Strangely enough,
I forgot
like they're
about that.
like
Okay.
At the
whatever
park.
their horror nights or whatever it's
Yeah.
called at Universal's, and they have like
Yeah.
different haunts that you can go through. Either like
they have
you
the
can go-
hospital one with
they
the
had
nurses
one with for
and
Walking
everything.
Dead as well, and then
Yeah.
they usually
Yeah.
have one for Silent Hill for at least like the past like
Which is
like
funny
5,
because
6
Didn't
years.
they-
none of these things are
Didn't they
universal.
do Stranger Things this last year? They had like the Demogorgons and stuff.
Maybe
I think so.
I don't know.
I haven't kept up with it too much. I just
Yeah.
know that Silent Hill was like their main theme for a lot of years. Despite like the second movie came and went and everyone hated it, and they still kept like going strong with their like first movie.
Nurses!
Yeah, but the nurses though, and then yeah. So
That's
I
funny.
think that that's kind of like, and also a strange like side piece for the Silent Hill game franchise, because they like there's all these games, and then there's the movies and intellectual properties, and also there's this weird haunt at an amusement
yeah.
park.
Yeah.
And I think
Interesting.
that's kind of strange. Like that has stayed alive because it's
spooky.
it's fun to
Yeah.
go and experience that in person. But
Agreed.
I don't know.
Well, that's cool.
And
All right.
whom?
Well, are you fans of Silent Hill? I mean, you've
Let us
listened to if you've
You
listened
listened to the entire
if you've
podcast.
listened to the last 45 minutes, I would hope you are. If you've made
Oh,
it
dude,
to
we've
the
been
end
talking
here,
for it's got to be over an hour now.
Well,
so I
yeah.
commend anyone
About-
that
I don't
stuck
know.
with this.
wherever we're gonna be, but let us
What
know.
happened to Milky Flava and Harley Casper?
Yeah, our
man.
two loyal commenters are
Yeah.
long been silent.
I lurk in the comment section, and we don't get any comments, so I can't reply with weird things to people, and it upsets
Can't
me.
reply if no one comments. But
Yeah.
anyway, if you are inclined to comment, what is your favorite Silent Hill game or movie or both? Do you think the franchise is dead? Do you think anything's gonna come next gen or later in the next couple of years?
My favorite is the pachinko machine.
But anyways,
Okay.
thank you. Right, on that note, thank you for listening. This podcast can be found on YouTube on the on the Nerd Herders channel, or on Apple Podcasts for Talking Nerdy Podcast.
Yeah.
You can find us there and download to listen offline. Yay!
Go
cool
look
stuff.
at the old video of the first impressions
Yes,
of Silent
we
Hill.
will include
we'll
a,
have
link
to
at the
that.
end of this or in the description, showing our first impressions of the first Silent Hill game from a few years ago.
For sure.
And thank you. Until next time, stay
Stay
nerdy.
nerdy.